with me Dr. Thaddeus R. Gala. He told me how to say his name like that. Dr. Thaddeus R. Gala. I'm just kidding. I did not say. He is the owner of 4 medical clinics, and he sees 4,900 patient interactions per year. And these clinics, well, there's something special that goes on there. And specifically, they help people reverse some of the most chronic health conditions that you can find. Now, Thaddeus was also invited by Sir Richard Branson to attend to the UN to help with ocean conservation, and has been to Necker Island and lost a well-fought game of chess to Sir Richard Branson himself. Now, just in this past year, Thaddeus has helped people save upwards of $98,000 on average on their taxes for 2019. So, Dr. Gala, I guess I should refer to you as, welcome to Sales Team Rescue.
It's great to be here. Thaddeus is fine. And one thing on there, I appreciate the intro. We saw 49,000 patient interactions.
I said 100. Oh, 49,000.
But that's all right. It's just a zero, but that's okay.
Just a zero, no big deal. You know what? It's like money, right? $1,000, $10,000.
One extra zero never hurt anybody,
zero, right? But actually, that gives us a really nice segue into our topic today, because our audience is all about companies that want to build sales teams. And what they need to do to get off the ground. But because we've got a lot of interesting things going on in the world right now, we've got financial constraint in a lot of places. And I think that financial education is something that we grow into as business owners. And I've had lots of conversations in the last few weeks around the solopreneur mindset, the entrepreneur mindset, and what I consider the business owner mindset. And the business owner mindset is something I really want to talk to you about today, because I've learned that I think differently now about money in business, and specifically taxes, than I did 3 years ago. And I see people that think even, are more farther ahead than I am, such as, Grant Cardone, we both know and love, Robert Kiyosaki, even Jeff Bezos. So tell me a little bit about that money mindset and how you see that evolving as businesses grow, or as business owners evolve in their thinking.
Yeah, I think it really comes down to you have to have the mindset that money is okay to talk about and to think about. And right. I think so many people have a phobia around it. And I see, and that's the thing. As soon as you use the word sales, people think it's a dirty word and they cringe because they have this phobia and this idea of what sales is in their mind. When really sales is really getting somebody emotionally invested in something that I believe is good for them, and getting them emotionally invested in the transformation. And to me, a good salesperson is an educator. They're a dreamer. They help people see a transformation. They help people see where the future is. And you need to be able to do that to yourself on whatever goal that you want. And I think a lot of people, when it comes to finances, they think, oh, that's CPA stuff. That's financial advisor stuff. That's that kind of stuff. But that's like saying that health is just your doctor. Oh yeah, to be healthy, I have a doctor for that. It's like, well, no, your doctor can't do your push-ups for you. And at the end of the day, you're only seeing them a small sliver out of the year. And usually people see their CPAs or their financial advisor, most people, about as often as they see their doctor. And they're left up to themselves the rest of the time. And most CPAs are like most doctors. They spend a little bit with you once or twice a year, basically just kind of going over your numbers, just like a doctor. They just look at your vitals, look at your stats, they just go over your numbers. And then they say, oh, you did good this year, or you didn't do good this year. You need to lose more weight, or you need to exercise more. And the CPA says, oh, well, you did good this year, or you didn't do good this year. You owe a lot of money. Next year, you should try to work harder and be more successful in business. And They don't really give you a game plan or a strategy. And for me, my journey started, when my mom was really sick when I was 10. That sent me on my first quest to figure out, because all the experts said my mom would be in a wheelchair the rest of her life. So I went on a quest to try to save my mom's life. Now we have our clinics to see 49,000 patient interactions a year. We help people reverse chronic health issues all across the board: diabetes, fibromyalgia, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, et cetera. And when our clinic started to become financially successful, I remember looking down and my CPA said, I said to my CPA, I said, so I owe about $270,000 in taxes, but I only have about $40,000 in my bank account. And I had worked so hard, or my team and I, we'd worked so hard, and we felt like we'd kind of like made it. And then we're like, well, why the hell did we work so hard when all we do is we just owe a bunch of money and we don't really have anything like left over? So like why are we putting ourselves through all this stress and all this gnashing of teeth to try to make bills and run a business? And it was then my mind shifted, and then I've been on my second life quest, and that's to help people reduce and eliminate taxes. I haven't paid taxes for the last, probably 3 or 4 years. I haven't paid student loans, and I think 14. Well, I take it back. I paid my student loan. I paid one payment in the last 14 years on my student loans. And I've helped many thousands of other, or not, I wouldn't say thousands, but numerous of other business owners that have reduced their tax liability. Oftentimes, after I work with people, by about $98,000 per business. And I say thousands because there's thousands of businesses out there that reduce or eliminate their tax burden altogether using a lot of the same strategies and methods that we teach people. And really, it's just a game. Just like health. Health is a game. If you want to be healthy at the game of health, you need to exercise, you need to eat healthy, you need to go out and do the fundamentals. But the average person has no idea what the fundamentals are when it comes to wealth strategy, growth, development.
Well, and it's interesting because you use the analogy to accountants and doctors. And with doctors, if something hurts or we feel sick, we can react to that. We end up being in a reactive mode. And so in most cases, we can go and, we can find a symptom of the problem and go get it taken care of. But with accounting, we don't see the symptom until it's time to pay the tax bill.
The symptom is holy crap! I have to pay a ton of money.
Right.
But yet we don't do anything. It's like it's like stepping on a nail, and you go into the doctors and they're like, yeah, you have a nail in your foot. That sucks. And you're like, yeah, it does. You're like, well, okay, well, I'll see you next year.
Right.
And that's what it's like with taxes. Like, oh, you had to pay a lot of taxes? Well, that sucks. See you next year.
Right.
It's like, and the average CPA doesn't do anything to help people, because all the good CPAs, they're with Amazon. I mean, look at Amazon. They don't pay any taxes. They actually get refunds back. Right. So the average business owner is not going to find a CPA like Amazon has. But I guarantee you, everyone's going out there. And here's the thing: people get mad at Amazon and corporations and all this greed, and they're scamming the system and all this stuff. It's like they're not scamming the system; they just know the rules. And if you understand the rules, then you're going to be a better player. It's that easy. And if you don't, so don't get mad at the players. If you don't like the way the rules are structured, then go change the rules of the game. But the thing is that the Amazon CPAs, they're doing exactly what your CPA does, and that is, they hire their CPAs to go out and find as many legitimate legal deductions as possible and to maximize that. And that's like anyone else. I've yet to meet a business owner that said, you know what, Mr. CPA, I don't think I want to take as many deductions as I did last year. I think I'd like to pay a few more taxes. So you know what, when you really spend your time trying to find as many deductions for me as you can, just don't waste your time. Just if you find deductions, just forget about it. I'd just rather pay taxes. I mean, nobody does that. Right. So Amazon's doing just what everyone else does. It's just that they can hire and afford the best CPAs. So you're not going to find them at TurboTax or some of these other places, Liberty Tax, or some of these other places, right?
Yeah. So and it's interesting because we're not just talking about, you mentioned haven't paid taxes, haven't made student loan payments, and this isn't that you're avoiding. You're not evading taxes. You're just maximizing the opportunity that already exists in the tax code.
Right. Well, there's two words there: evasion and avoidance, and it's important to distinguish between those two, because evasion is the bad stuff. That's the stuff that you go to jail for. Evasion is, you're hiding income, meaning you're not claiming it. Avoidance is you're bringing money in and you're being creative in terms of how you deduct it and how you expense things. And tax evasion, if you do something wrong, you can go to jail. Tax avoidance is a discussion. If you do something wrong, then maybe you pay some extra penalties or fees or some extra tax, and that's a discussion. So tax avoidance would be, okay, I wrote this meal off as a deduction, and then the IRS agent comes back. If you ever did get audited, an IRS agent says, well, was that really did you guys really talk about business? And then it's a discussion. It's like, and then whoever wins is like, well, no, that meal actually wasn't for business, or yes, it was. And then there's, oh, well, because we said it wasn't actually business related, you're gonna have to actually pay taxes on it. Plus we're gonna add some penalties in there, but you don't go to jail for stuff like that. So that's the realm that we play in is, and that's where thousands of other businesses play in, is how can we maximize and legitimize our deductions. And I read an article, I believe it was in Forbes, that said 93% of business owners overpay their taxes every single year by leaving basic, simple deductions and write-offs on the table. And the IRS has said, I don't know if that exact same stat, but I've seen articles by the IRS that says that the average business owner and taxpayer is overpaying their taxes. I think it's to the tune of billions of dollars a year as a country. We overpay in taxes, and these are legitimate deductions and legitimate write-offs.
Yeah. So then if these loopholes are there in the tax code, or not even loopholes, just they're there. It's part of
the tax
what you're allowed
code
to do, right? It is tax code.
Yeah.
Then why do people pay so much in taxes?
I think it comes down to well, think of it like this. Information does not equal implementation. I've probably given in my career, I've probably given, I'm sure I've given over 100 lectures by now, to a cumulative of thousands of people. Most of it's been in the health space, and now more recently it's been in the financial space. So I've given lectures to thousands of people, and I can tell you one thing: information does not equal implementation. Well, I've had so many people come to my workshops and they say, well, Dr. Gala, can't I just buy your book, or do you have this stuff online, or, can I do this? And I say, sure, you can. If you want to fail, do that. I say, because here's the thing. Everything that I'm teaching, you talk to any health expert out there, and they could take everything that you need to do to be healthy and add 10 to 20 years to your life, get down to your goal weight, everything you need to do to reverse the most chronic of diseases, and you could put that in one page, double space, 12 font. But the thing is that information does not equal implementation. No matter what camp you're in nutrition, nobody's going to go out there and they're going to argue if you put French fries in somebody or a salad in front of somebody. No one's going to argue about what's healthy or what's not. But yet we still make decisions that we know are not healthy for us. And that's why in the US, we have 70.7% of the population is overweight or obese. The life expectancy has dropped for the last 3 years in a row. And I think it's like, if you're over the age of 50, I think the average person's on like 3 to 4 medications. I could go on, and all these stats of how sick we are. And I've yet to meet somebody that was obese and really overweight coming to me and saying, gosh, you know what, Dr. Gala, I really love being overweight or obese. This is just awesome. I love it. And it's not for lack of information, because we have in North America, we have more diet books per capita than probably anywhere in the world. Yeah. So there's tremendous amount of information available, but it's the implementation. And the same with taxes. People overpay their taxes because the information's out there, but they don't implement it. Because most people have heard that Amazon didn't pay any in taxes. Most people have heard that. Mm-hmm. But then now follow up and just ask yourself this, for someone's listening right now. Say, how much, have you ever heard that corporations like Amazon, have you ever heard that a lot of corporations don't pay any taxes, or they pay really low taxes? Have you ever heard that? And most people say, well, yeah, I've heard that. It's like, okay, well, how many hours have you spent, or how many hours do you spend each week researching how they do that so you can do the same in your business? Zero. Right. And that's the thing. So number one, they aren't even pursuing the right information. Mm-hmm. So even if they did get to the stage of implementation, they oftentimes don't even have the right information. But the information's out there. So number one, people aren't even, it's like, again, they're playing a game, but they're not even showing up to the starting line. They're just staying at home. They're not even willing to get up, lace up their shoes, and go to the starting line just to see what the race is all about. They'd just rather sit at home and kind of bicker and moan and say, well, my CPA is going to run the race for me. And that's why so many people are losing at the money game of life. So just like so many people are losing at the health game of life.
Right. So if you picture this, then people watching, people listening, not understanding how to maximize your tax savings is like having your CPA sub in for you in the financial game of life. And I think that's huge, because as business owners, one of our biggest challenges is being a control freak and not being able to delegate effectively. Right. And this one piece that is so vital in our business and our life is something we're going, oh, well, you've got letters after your name. It's all on you. Now, don't get me wrong. Yeah. I've got a CPA and she's awesome. But I also want to understand what's going on behind the scenes and make sure that we're maximizing as much as we can, right? Like, I'm not saying go it alone. You need a CPA to sign off on the taxes, but own part of it. Right?
Find the right, absolutely. Find the right CPA. I mean, you could do that, right? Be smart and delegate to a CPA that thinks like you. Like, that's the thing. Like in our clinics, right? Like, someone can go find a medical doctor anywhere, but there's going to be a medical doctor that's going to say, hey, let's give you a lot of medications and come back in 6 months, and that's it. Or they could come to like a medical doctor in one of our clinics, and they're going to say, hey, why don't we map out a game plan here? You're 40 pounds overweight. you say you want to be around when to watch your grandkids, walk down the aisle together. You can't really go on walks with your wife anymore. You're getting up there in age. Why don't we get a game plan? Let's map this out. What do you think? Like there's doctors like that out there too. So just find a doctor like that. Same thing with the CPA. If a CPA says, you know what, man, there's thousands of businesses out there that don't pay anything in taxes. And there's a lot of legitimate strategies that businesses use. Amazon, some of the most public facing companies utilize these strategies. So there's nothing secret about it. So why don't we utilize some of those strategies? And that's what we do in our business now, is we help business owners reduce their tax liability to about 1.75%. And actually with the CARES Act now, we actually help people work so they can actually get a refund for their last 5 years of taxes, which is tremendous and huge. And I actually, even on that note, Jeremy, I have a lot to thank for you in terms of where we are today, and some of your trainings, some of your help in terms of our messaging and how to overcome some of the objections and the education and the implementation. So you've been instrumental in that. So I'll just do a side birdwalk right there for a second. Give you a huge thank you for all the help you've helped with our business.
Appreciate
we're in the first quarter of a relatively new business, and we're well already over $1 million in sales, and we're already like in our first few months of business, which is great.
Awesome. Well, it helps when I work with companies that are doing such good things. For me, it breaks my heart. I've been there. I've been the guy that went through year one of business and went, awesome, I did really good. Oh, what's this tax bill? And it was more than what was in the bank account. Like I get that, right? And I didn't know. There was no one showing me. And as I continue to surround myself with people like you and others, I get to open my eyes to the possibilities and not only see what I should be paying attention to, but see how I should be thinking about it.
Yeah.
So for me, that's why I love this, because it's helping me think bigger. It's helping me think in a more educated way. And if I can help other people do it, that's what I'm here for, right? Help people get that message out that's going to at least support and ideally change someone's business or life. That's what sales is all about, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. It's to me, sales is just being really good at communication and being really good at communication and understanding what the other person wants and helping them get what they want, because they're obviously talking to you because they want something. And here's the thing. If I have a patient come in, and here's the thing. I think doctors do a disservice. I think doctors, for instance, just on that vein, when you say the word sales around doctors, like, oh, I'm in healthcare, and it's like this badge of honor, like sales. Oh, that's a car salesman. That's a car lot word. We don't use that. But here's the thing. If you have a patient come in and they're on death's doorstep, and they're 100 pounds overweight, they're on multiple medications, they can't even function really anymore, they're maybe on disability, they can't play with their kids or their wife anymore, they can't walk, they're taking afternoon naps, they're on multiple medications, they have ulcers in their feet, they have digestive issues, they have mental fog, they have all the aches and pains, you name it, down the list. And if a patient comes in and you can't get them excited and motivated to make lifestyle changes, to me, that's on you and your profession, because that's what you're paid to do, is to help save people's lives. And if you can't educate, excite, and motivate and inspire people to do the recommendations that you're doing, then you have failed. And if a doctor just says, you need to go home, you need to exercise, you need to lose weight, you need to eat healthy, well, clearly that does not work. People do, everybody knows that, but they don't know how to do it. So if you can't convey a message, I would say to any doctors that are listening right now, that if you're not selling your patient on a more transformative future, and you're not inspiring them to be a better version of themselves, and you're not helping them tap into that emotional excitement that's going to help them actually pick a salad versus French fries and actually tap into why they need to make these health, or why they want to make these health changes. And if you can't help paint that picture for them and help them on that, then I believe you failed as a doctor. Because the doctor that goes home and says, gosh, I just can't believe all these patients, like they don't take any of your personal responsibility and everyone's sick. Well, if they're your patients, then that's on you, because our patients get better. Our patients get well. I'm not saying 100%. I'm not trying to sit here and gloat and say that we have it all figured out. We have tremendous to grow. But what I'm saying is, if you go home and you throw your keys down and say, another day, just gosh, I wish people would take personal responsibility. It's like, well, they're coming to you to fix a problem. And if you're not helping them fix the problem, then you need better communication skills. And to be a better communicator, you need to sell them on the idea of what their future could be like if they were to take personal responsibility. And you need to get them excited and inspired of that better future. And that's, to me, what sales is. It's just getting people excited about a better future for themselves. And take the word sales out if you don't like it. Just say, be a really good inspirer.
Mm.
And that's all it is. Just be a really good motivator and inspire. I don't really like the word motivator. I'd say inspire, be an inspiration for people. Because Martin Luther King did a hell of a job selling civil rights. Gandhi did a hell of a job selling civil disobedience. Mother Teresa did a hell of a job selling philanthropy and loving and caring for each other. And they were just great communicators of a message. And that's the thing. That's the difference. We have to get rid of this, this car lot idea of buy now, buy now. What can I do to get you into this before you leave? I mean, that's convincing.
Mm-hmm.
That's not, to me, inspiring is a whole nother thing. And that's what we have to reach out to. And that's what we have to be in. Because if you can do that, we're going to win. And I see the same thing with people in finances, that they come to me and they're paying all this money in taxes. And it's like, okay, well, you're going to have to learn here, and we're going to help you through the process, and it's going to hurt your brain a little bit, but we can get you there if you're willing to do it. So why is this important to you? And the same thing when I talk with people, tap into their motivation. Why are you here? I want more money so I can go on vacation. I want to be able to expand my business. I want to be able to, not be stressed out as much. I want to be able to get my staff and my team more bonuses, but these taxes are strangling me. Well, all right, then let's hold on to that. And as we go through this, I'm going to ask you to be doing some things that you may say, gosh, that's too hard. I can't do that. It's too frustrating. Say, well, before you throw in the mental towel, let's keep hold of why you're doing this. You want money so you can put your kids to college, so you can, have vacations, you can give more to your team, whatever the case may be. Let's hold on to that, because the learning process that I'm going to take you through is going to hurt. So we have to have our self-imposed carrot out there in the transformation that we're holding on to that has an emotional meaning for us.
100%. So if we go back to that finances piece, where do people start? Like, I know the majority of people, they start a business and they're figuring out as they go. They might not have had the initial education or access to that information, or didn't act on the information at the time. But now they're like, you know what? I'm ready to start looking at my business like the CEO that Jeff Bezos is, or Grant Cardone talks about how he had this huge tax bill, and so he went and bought a jet, a private plane.
Yeah, and wrote it all off, and
saved
20 million in tax. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And what's the first step for someone that wants to make that transition and doesn't know how?
Yeah, great. The first thing is 100% is you have to have, I'd say, two things. Number one is you have to be willing to invest and trust the process, not the outcome. So number one is you have to be willing to invest in the process. And that process, the first step of that process is surrounding yourself with the people that are already doing it. Just consume their content, listen to their videos, surround themselves, and do that as fast as you can. Figure out, look at who's doing what you're already doing, and say, how can I go to the front of the line and get there as fast as you can? And sometimes it's writing a check to get to the front of the line. Sometimes it's just positioning. Sometimes it's providing value to that person or that organization. Whatever it is that you can do to accelerate it. It's like Tony Robbins says, he's like, whenever he's going to try a new skill, he goes out and finds the best in the world and hires them. And it's like, well, why not? Because that's going to save me a tremendous amount of time. So when I want to invest and make a financial decision, I go out and hire the best financial advisor in the world. Like, why not? If we can afford it, if you want to learn golf, go hire the best golf coach you can afford. Yeah. And if golfing is really important to you. So I'd say, because here's the thing, I think of it like marriage, right? If you're at the altar and you're saying, till death do us part, that's investing in the outcome. You may win or you may lose. So you may not succeed at that. If you say, I'm going to get married and I'm getting married and my goal is to be married to you forever, you may win or you may lose. And you don't know if you've won or lost until the end. But if you say, you know what, I really love and care about you, and you're going to invest in the process, and you say, every day I make this promise, I invest in the process every day, and every day I'm going to invest in waking up and trying to be the best partner that I can be, and I'm going to share myself with you, and I'm going to invest in you, and I'm going to be the best partner for you every single day. And if that gets us the rest of the life together and till our final days, and we're happy and we're successful and supporting each other, then awesome. That's wonderful. But you know what? I would much rather invest in being the best I can every single day for you as a partner than till death do us part. And there's this binding to us that no matter what we do to each other, we have to stick it out regardless. And to me, I just love the latter much more. And that is investing in the process, because if you invest in the process, you're always going to win. Because you never know what opportunity, deal flow is going to come along the way, what relationship you're going to have, what fun adventures, exciting things you're going to see along the way. Because it's like music. Very few people listen to music to hear the last note. I mean, people listen to music because of the journey through it. And life and finances and just about everything else is that, because the end moment, the end goal is just that. It's a moment. It's a fleeting moment. It's like Christmas, right? Leading up to Christmas is so much more exciting than when to some people, but when you open the present, you get the excitement. It's there, but think of the anticipation that builds up to that.
Right.
Is almost more than the actual event of opening the present. I have the new toy. Okay, now what's next? Next week? I mean, that's the thing. A week before Christmas, look how excited kids are versus a week after Christmas.
Right.
And just think of that. So because the kids are very invested in the process, and they're very much living in the moment. They're just so excited. Obviously, because they're thinking of the future, and you can do that, but it's focusing on the present, in the moment, right here. So I'd say invest in the process and in surrounding yourself with people that have the right mindset.
Awesome. Now, I believe you have a resource that our audience can tap into to jumpstart their financial education.
Absolutely. We were talking a little bit before we jumped on live here. So if people want to, we're hosting a summit, and there's a series coming up. I know right now while this video right now is being recorded, COVID and all that's going on. So we postponed it a bit, but we are going to have the date, and it'll be live. So if you want to register for that, we have a host of all different experts, CPAs, financial advisors that try to make saving money, eliminating taxes fun. I know it sounds weird, but fun, entertaining, exciting. And so you don't have as much hair pulling out, so that you can reduce your taxes to about 1.75% and or get a refund of your last 5 years of taxes without having to become a financial expert or twisting yourself in knots. And you can do it all from the comfort of your home. And oftentimes it can be as simple as a 2-step process to get your taxes down and keep your liquidity. That's the thing, is we show people how to get their taxes down to essentially zero while maintaining full liquidity of their money. That's huge. So we don't teach people how to dump it into a retirement account or whole health life insurance or some of these other vehicles. We help people keep it liquid, get their taxes down so that they can keep it in play and keep it in work in their business or their life or investments, whatever they want to do with it.
I love it. All right. Well, good doctor. I definitely wouldn't call you doc, but I'm going to do it anyway. I have a couple very important questions for you before we call it a day on this conversation. So this ultimately Sales Team Rescue is for sales people and people that want to develop sales teams. So my first question to you is this: what is your favorite type of coffee or comparable drink?
First cup of favorite. Well, I don't drink coffee. I had 2 cups of coffee in my life. One was on purpose to try it. I didn't like it, and the second time was by mistake because someone mixed my drink wrong. My favorite, I'd say probably like an organic herbal tea.
Gotcha.
I mean, if I'm comparable, something
Sure.
to coffee.
All right. Now, if you were to share a book or a movie that sales leaders should read or watch, what would that be?
Oh gosh. Well, the first movie that comes to mind was Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, but that's not a sales movie. But I love I love the message. I love the journey there, because you know what? Actually, I will stick by that because that's first came to mind. Because I think the reason I love that movie so much with Kevin Costner is because it is to me it's such an inspirational of standing up for what you really believe in. And it's standing up for the transpiration, the inspiration. There's this one scene, right, where he comes back, and he steals the horse from the sheriff of Nottingham, and I think it's Little Johnny says, "Well, you really stored up a hornet's nest this time, didn't you?" And I just love the language and the decor and the clothes and everything. And he comes in and he says, "Well, what do we do?" He's like, "Well, we can't fight back. They have swords." And then Kevin Costner, Robin Hood, goes on this whole speech of like, we have food. What do we have? What do we need that the forest can't provide? It's like, oh, well, they have armor. Well, every boy can find the chinks in a suit of armor. And he goes on and he gives us inspiration, saying, and to me, he's overcoming all these objections, right? He's a tremendous, but here's the thing: he's not selling; he's inspiring, right. and he's selling. He's inspiring them to a greater transformation. It's not being oppressed, and it's not being held down by the sheriff anymore. So to me, I love that movie for all that it is, and the hero's journey and the hero's arc that goes throughout there. And plus, I grew up out in the middle of the woods in Oregon, so I used to run around and build forts. We were surrounded by thousands of acres, so we would run around in the woods, and we'd play Amph Guard, which is where you take a piece of PVC, you put foam over it, and you beat each other around, and you play kind of Dungeons and Dragons out in the middle of the woods. It was tons of fun. So I have that in my roots too.
Awesome. Now I'm gonna have to go watch that movie again.
Yeah.
So next question is.
Oh, let me say this. You said book. I also think the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Horrible title, right. Tremendous content. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, that is something that everybody, I mean, that should be taught in school. All the principles in there. And I love it because at the end they give that little nugget that's so actionable.
Mm. Awesome. Awesome. Now, who is somebody who's been a mentor in your life?
That's a great question. I've had several of those. An exercise that I went through a while back is going through, and I had a colleague of mine share this with me. He said he went through his entire life, and he had a piece of paper, and he went through, and he just did a brain dump of every transformational moment or transformational figure in his life. And he basically just wrote down the person or the name or the event, and then what fork in the path that he believed that provided for him in terms of maybe where he thought he was going and what it provided. And so I did that same exercise. And so I can look back on the forks of that tree several times and I can see where and what it was. I would say, obviously my parents were very transformational and very inspirational because they grew up out in the middle of the woods, no running water, no electricity, no phones, no roads, nothing. I mean, literally pitched a tent out in the middle of the woods and started building a homestead. That's how I grew up. So, I mean, there was no such thing as like, oh, I can't. It's like, dude, you figure it out. Like our pipes froze. You'd have to go down to the pond and get water and bring it back up, boil it. And, so the pipes would be our electricity would go out. So we'd have kerosene lamps in our rooms. The phone would go out because we didn't even have a phone line until I was born, but they just wrapped the phone line around the trees and then the trees would fall over in storms. So we didn't have phone. The road would get snowed. So we'd have to ski down to the car in the morning to drive it to school. Cause the bus stop was three miles away. So, I mean, I think both my parents, like you just there's nothing that you can't do. I think in healthcare it was Dr. David Seaman who helped show me that you could reverse chronic disease, and his teachings really helped. Dr. Lauren Cordain was very powerful. Yeah, I mean, I've had a few others, but that by from afar that didn't really weren't in my life tangibly, but that I learned from as mentors from afar that I've watched or learned from.
Awesome. Now, final question. What is the strangest thing you do in your daily routine to keep you on your game?
Oh boy. I don't know if it's strange. I think that's a great question. I don't think it's strange, but I want to be more consistent with it. And it's practicing mindfulness and meditation towards living an examined life. And it's the process of when I find myself lost in thought, of asking myself, is this really where I want to be spending my emotions right now? So if I'm feeling myself get worked up, I'm asking myself, okay, so I'm not going to be feeling this forever. So how long do I want to decide to be feeling this? Because there's going to be a time where it's going to end. So why don't I just end it right now? And then if I'm distracted or maybe not being as productive as I like, I say, okay, so there's going to be a time where I'm going to be productive. So when do I want to start being productive again? Because there's going to be a finite window to me not being productive or doing what I really want with my life or in this moment or whatever it is. And so it's observing the observer. So, okay, I guess this is what it is. Maybe this distills it down. What I do is I actually pretend that, I'll try to get in the frame here. I actually pretend that I'm watching myself, like I'm watching a movie, and I'm watching myself from about maybe 2 to 3 feet up and to the right. And then that's where I'm residing. And whenever I do that, then I can watch myself as though I'm watching someone else. And then it removes the emotion. So I can say, oh, okay, I see what Thaddeus needs to do. And by putting myself, kind of like an actor, right? Like when like if you watch great actors, they embody the character. So their demeanor, their gait, their body language, it resides in them and it comes out in terms of who they are. And I think by me putting myself up there and owning that I'm watching myself, it really does, it really removes the emotion. So I can watch myself more objectively. And I can genuinely look at myself and say, okay, so Thaddeus, you're doing this right now because you're walking to the fridge right now instead of doing this because you just got excited because of that last call. And so you really don't need to be eating this right now. So, but you're really excited. So why don't you go for a run? So it'll be like things like that where you can actually now start to quantify what you're doing, because it's so easy, right? If you watch someone else doing something, it's so easy to be like, well, you know what? I know that my partner just came home and they were kind of grouchy, but I know it's not really me. I know it's because, they just had a flat tire, 10 other things happened and maybe they just don't quite have the skill set to deal with those things and still remain positive. So I know it wasn't me. So I don't have to take that personally. Right. So, we can watch other people and say, gosh, they're grumpy because of this. and I'm not saying that's a justification because I think we all have the power, like Viktor Frankl says, to choose how we act in a situation.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm at the point where I'm trying to allow myself to do that. So I think that's it, is and really owning that. And the more that I own it, the easier it is to look at myself objectively and to make objective decisions.
That's really interesting.
And,
wow.
and to have that tough conversation, because sometimes when you're watching yourself and you're really honest, the reasons you're doing certain things or not doing certain things, sometimes you don't like the answers. And if you're really able to dive into that and be honest with yourself and not just brush it off and really watch, then you can really do some good work. And I think, like Tim Ferriss says, it's like, the success of someone can be directly measured by how comfortable they are by being uncomfortable, or how many uncomfortable conversations they've been willing to have in their life. And I think that's a way to have uncomfortable conversations with yourself.
That's awesome. Wow. I've never heard that. And that makes a lot of sense. Huh. Well, thank you for sharing that. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So this has been episode number 46. Yes, 46 of Sales Team Rescue and the good Dr. Thaddeus R. Gala from Trusted Sky Solutions. And guys, remember to catch this replay and replays of previous episodes. Go to salesteamrescue.com. We will see you next Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Get uncomfortable, get results. Cheers, guys.